Ladies and gentlemen, the CTDF Fantasy Football Show is on the air once again. Delighted to have all of you with us. We are now in the second round of the 2020 NFL playoffs. The wild card round has just passed. 6 teams have come out of that. And now we get into the divisional rounds where we bring in the top seeds from each conference. The AFC number one seed, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. And the NFC's number one seed, the Green Bay Packers. And this proves to be a very, very interesting weekend of playoff football. It is yours truly, Tim McClellan. That, of course, is John Flynn. Down here is John Natale.
Hey.
And this guy over here, Adam Oliver from San Antonio, Texas. So,
Hello.
how are we doing, guys?
Good. I'm doing good.
All right. So, let me get y'all's opinions on last week's wild card round. Flynn, you got anything that sticks out?
The way the Rams beat the Seahawks should not have surprised anybody. Brian Schottenheimer was completely by Brandon Staley, and I think the biggest snapshot of Brian Schottenheimer's legacy with Seattle was the interception by Darius Williams off a wide receiver screen return for a touchdown. And that was the first interception off a wide receiver screen all season. And the fact that Russell Wilson threw it in the playoffs, this was a waste of another waste of a season for Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, and they rightfully fired Schottenheimer after the game. And Russell Wilson is going to play a big role in Seattle picking its next offensive coordinator.
Interesting. So Seattle is finding a new OC to join Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson, and the rest of the boys. Natalie, anything from Wild Card Weekend stand out for you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of games were pretty competitive for the most part. The one that really surprised me the most was the Steelers and the Browns game. The Steelers' offense was a mess. The first snap of the game, bad snap. That led to a Browns touchdown, and it was basically the Browns were dominant from there. That was the domino effect right away. From the first play of the game, I pretty much knew the Steelers were screwed. But yeah, I got to remark, I got to give them a lot of credit though. They had a pretty good comeback in the second half, but it just wasn't enough.
Right. Adam, anything you remember from Wild Card?
Well, I think the only thing that stuck out for me is the Browns to break not only one long streak, but another one too. The first one was, of course, the first playoff appearance back in '94, and then another fact that really stuck out to me is the first road playoff win for the Browns franchise back in 1969. That's surprising.
And that was before the AFL. That was the year before the AFL and the NFL merged in 1970.
Yeah, and the coach of and that coach who was for the Browns back in '94 was Bill Belichick, and who beat Phil Parcells, who beat Parcells, who was the coach of the Patriots back then.
Yeah, I think this guy Belichick, I think he definitely went on to bigger things. And of course, that's the only thing that sticks out. And if I'm not mistaken, out of all of us that was on the show last week, I think I was the only one that picked Cleveland.
Yes. For the stream show, yes.
Yeah, for the stream, yes. But another one that picked the Browns is not here at the moment would be Will Medina.
Yeah. So, but hey, I'm surprised, but I really can't say I'm that surprised with how great Cleveland has played this year. but I think they are about to run into a giant brick wall. We, of course, will be talking about that here in a little while, but right now, why don't we go in and jump into the divisional round playoffs? 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. Double the pleasure, double your fun, I always say. We start 4:35 Eastern on Fox Saturday afternoon. It's the Los Angeles Rams, and they will be taking on the number 1 seed in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers. And this game, of course, is at Lambeau Field, where the tundra is pretty much, if it's not frozen, it's going to be snowy up there. And Green Bay is picked by 6, so Flynn, start us off.
Yeah, and believe it or not, this was actually the toughest game of the four games to pick this weekend because you have the number 1 offense, number 1 scoring offense in the NFL during the regular season in Green Bay. They'll be taking on the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL, and that's the LA Rams. But the biggest thing about the Rams' victory over Seattle to me was after Aaron Donald dominated the first half against that offensive line, when he went down because of some rib issues in the second half, the rest of the defense stepped up big time. Like Leonard Floyd came up big. Jalen Ramsey was sensational as usual. Both Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey were unanimous first. Not Jalen Ramsey, but both were first-team All-Pros this season, and both are so instrumental in the Rams' success this season. But the reason why I can't take the Rams is Aaron Donald's not 100%, Jared Goff is not 100%, and Blake Bortles is now the backup quarterback for the Rams. So if Jared Goff, I can't go for the entire game. But I think the biggest thing the Rams are missing to me is Cooper Kupp because listen, Cooper Kupp tore his ACL in the 2018 season after a great start that season, and then he couldn't go the rest of the way. And I think the Rams would have had a realistic chance of beating Brady and the Patriots in the Super Bowl had he been available. But now that forces Robert Woods to be covered by Jair Alexander, and it's going to make other skilled players to make plays against Green Bay secondary. So it's going to be instrumental for the Rams offensive line to play the way they did against Seattle, have Cam Akers get 20 to 25 touches, and be able to wear down Green Bay's rush defense. But the biggest biggest offset of them all is Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers has been next level this season, and he is a reason the Packers have in the NFC. It's not going to be easy because I really like the Rams defense. They are well coached. They have the better defense, but I think even without David Bakhtiari, the first-team All-Pro left tackle, I still think the Packers offensive line should play well, even against the Rams. So I'll take the Packers in a close one, 27-26.
Oh, that's a little too close. That sounds like a Barbasol close shave of the week right there. Let's go ahead and get Natalie's thoughts on this one.
Yeah. Before I give my pick, I just wanted to state something that I kind of noticed with the seedings. Our seedings are pretty much identical for these playoffs. We have all the ones playing the 6s and the 2s are playing the 5s.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little tidbit I just wanted to show you guys there. But as far as this game goes, this one is going to be pretty interesting. Although the Rams have a strong defense, the Packers have a pretty strong offense, which I think could very well power their way through. And plus, the Packers have the advantage here because they're more well rested right now because they have their bye. So they probably have a lot of time to study video and whatnot. So as long as they did their homework and studied videos carefully, that should lead to their advantage. So I'm going to take the Packers in a close one here, 28-24.
Okay, 28-24 Natalie going with the pack. Adam.
Well, it's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be one of the pretty interesting games. A good defense and a good offense, but I I think I have a feeling that the Packers will win this one by at least 2 possessions.
Okay, so I'd say probably about at least 10 points. I mean, I could see it that way. Actually, I see this game kind of close. Not as close as what Flynn thought, but a little bit closer to what Natalie thought. I say Green Bay will, of course, handle this game, and it's going to be a late field goal that probably decides it. 30-27, give it to the Pack and give it to that bad man.
Yeah. What was your score, Natalie?
28-24.
20, and Natalie picked Green Bay, right?
Yep. I think we are all in
Mhm.
unison on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, all four of us picked Green Bay. Let's now go to the Saturday night football on NBC, 8:15 Eastern, at Bill Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. The Buffalo Bills are 2.5-point favorites against the Baltimore Ravens. So, Flynn, I'd keep my eye on this one.
Yeah, I definitely would because this game is going to feature lake effect snow during the game, so I think this is going to be poses an advantage to Buffalo. But Lamar Jackson said something interesting earlier in the week when it comes to playing in the snow. He never played in the snow before. He grew up in Florida and played at Louisville in college, so he never got to experience the snow. I think the snow is actually going to force him to play to his advantages, and I think he'll be able to run the ball. I think he'll be able to utilize Mark Andrews to his advantage more because because of the short passing game needed in the snow. But I just think Josh Allen is on a whole nother level with this offense. Yes, I think Buffalo is a little bit weak defensively, especially when it comes to stopping the run. That they had a tough time stopping Jonathan Taylor in the first half last weekend. But I think you'd much rather be Josh Allen than Lamar Jackson in this type of environment because Josh Allen can beat you in more ways in this environment than Lamar. So I just think the Bills have a more well-rounded roster. I think Baltimore is deeper defensively, but I think the better coaching is with Brian Dable and Sean McDermott. So I'll take the Bills to win this game 28-23.
Alrighty then. 28-23. Flynn is going with those Bills, Natalie.
Yeah, this game was actually the most difficult one for me to decide. What's intriguing about this matchup for me is this was my original Super Bowl winner versus now my revised Super Bowl loser. Originally, I had the Ravens going all the way, but now I revised it to the Bills losing in the Super Bowl. Yeah. So yeah, either way, one of my picks is still intact. This game is going to depend on how well the Ravens can play in the snow. I'm pretty sure Baltimore is a pretty snowy city, but they're playing in Buffalo anyway, so both teams are used to the snow. The weather is going to play a huge factor here. It's all going to depend on who can run around better in the snow. This one was kind of a coin flip, but although Lamar is pretty powerful and running around and whatnot, he's not a better thrower than Allen, which I think is going to be the deciding factor here. So give me Josh Allen and the Bills, 31-27.
Okay, 31-27. Natalie is going with the Bills on this one. So, Adam, which way are you going?
Well, that is one of the tough ones to choose. Both of them pretty much real rounded. I wouldn't be too surprised if we see tick for tack throughout the whole 4 quarters. But I could either. But I'm going with the. But I'm gonna be choosing the Bills to win in a close one.
All right. And of course, and I too will make it unanimous. I am going to take the Bills on this one. This Josh Allen is just a little bit above Lamar Jackson. Not by much, but a little bit. And I think Buffalo's going to handle all that snow. Baltimore may be able to handle it too, but just looking all around, looking at both sides of the field, I'm taking the Buffalo Bills, and I'm going to pick them to win by a score of 35-30. So those are the Saturday matchups. Now we go to the Sunday matchups, and we have the first game is 3:05 Eastern. CBS Sports will be covering this one. The Cleveland Browns, after their dominating performance over the Green Bay Packers, now have to travel to what I pretty much think will be a snowy Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City to take on the AFC's number 1 seed, the Kansas City Chiefs. And Flynn, the Chiefs this is the biggest spread of this week. Kansas City's pick by 10.
Yeah, I think the game is going to be closer than the spread indicates. But I just think that this is Patrick Mahomes' time to shine once again. That Cleveland had a great run. They have a lot of pieces ready for a potential Super Bowl run in the future. But I just think that the extra the 2 extra weeks off for Mahomes is going to play a big role in this game. That Mahomes and some of the starters rested in their Week 17 game against the Chargers. So I think that I'm going to take Cleveland to cover because I think they have some things going for them. Offensive line, defense. I think Myles Garrett is gonna play a role early, but I think Mahomes is gonna march the Chiefs down the field in the fourth quarter for a game-winning touchdown. I'll take the Chiefs to win this game 31-24.
Okay, 31-24. Flynn's with the Chiefs, and John Natale says.
Yeah, I think this game is pretty much it's probably pretty close to a pick'em here because the Chiefs obviously have the home field advantage. Mahomes and company got extra rest, like Flynn said. He had what's his name? Mahomes got rested. Clyde Edwards-Helaire got rested, even though he's injured. It's going to remain to be seen if he's going to be able to play. But worst case scenario, they still have Le'Veon Bell, who's a pretty decent run back. Tyreek Hill is well rested, the whole 9 yards. They have a pretty strong defense. The Browns could make a run for it a little bit. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they'll probably have some good games on the ground, but I think their receiving core is going to be a little weak against the Chiefs' defense. So this one is actually going to be the only game on the list here that I think is going to be more than one possession. So give me the Chiefs 30-20.
All righty then. Tally's going 30-20, going with KC. And Adam, what do you say?
Well, first off, I think I got a good feeling that the Browns clock has struck. Will strike midnight because I'm pretty sure that Patrick Mahomes is gonna be too much for the Browns, and so I'm gonna say that the Chiefs will move on to the conference, and I'm gonna make that my lock of the week.
Okay, Adam Oliver locking up those Chiefs. And I am going to make it unanimous once again. I say Kansas City will take it probably start early, start often. Cleveland will try to make it close, but in the end, I see the Chiefs winning this one by a score of 35-28. But don't be surprised if Cleveland are contenders again next year because I think they can.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, might be a possibility.
And the final game for the divisional round, Sunday. I guess you could say it's an early evening Sunday night.
Say Sunday night, yeah. Sunday night's more accurate.
Okay, Sunday night, 6:40 Eastern. Fox will be covering this one. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the New Orleans Saints at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. It's a battle of titans here, two of the greatest quarterbacks of our generation. And the Saints are picked by 3 in this one. So, Flynn, this is going to be probably the game of the weekend right here.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be the most entertaining game of the week as well. But I think when it comes to this game, and if you listened to this podcast last year during the playoffs, if you listened to my picks last week, that you know that I emphasize the coaching a lot because I usually pick the team with the better coach, the better defense, but I think Tampa Bay is concerned get to the quarterback, but I think at the end of this game, I think the Saints have an edge with the offensive line. They have an edge with the coach, and I think they have an edge with their defense as well. Because let's not let Matt Nagy's clueless play calling overshadow the strengths of the Saints defense. They are good at all 3 levels, and that was the recipe for manhandling the Bears. But we know this is going to be a completely different animal. And if you actually watched the Buccaneers take on the Washington No Names on Saturday, that Todd Bowles never adjusted after halftime. That his philosophy was get after the quarterback and not adjust at all because it was working in the first half. And Taylor Heineke managed to get the ball off quickly. You're not gonna have Drew Brees like hold on to the ball that long because of him being injury prone. That's going to backfire on the big time, and Todd Bowles is going to see why in the second half in Sunday's game. So Brady's going to put up his points. He's going to score, but Brady going from Atlanta, Detroit, both teams, by the way, with head coaching vacancies, and I think we should get some of those in a little bit. But going from that in Washington, but then a completely different animal in New Orleans, I'm going to pick the Saints to cover. They'll win this game 34-30.
Who do you say you had?
Yeah, I took the Saints.
Going with the Saints, 34-30. That is going to be a close one. It's going to be a good one to see. Natalie, who do you got?
Yeah, this one was the harder one for me as far as the NFC side goes. Yeah, this game could actually go either way. It's going to be very competitive all the way through. Yeah, both teams have their advantages. I mean, the Saints probably have the edge at running back. I think Kamara is probably better than Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. But, I mean, Breeze and Tom Brady are almost exactly identical. They could pretty much be twins as far as their passing ability goes. I mean, they can't run like they used to, but they could still pass the ball.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But I think their defense is about identical. So what's kind of the tiebreaker for me here is who has the better core of wide receivers. That's a really tough one. The Saints still have Michael Thomas, who's pretty strong, but the Bucs have a pretty good core too with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Gronkowski. This one was almost a coin flip.
And you're forgetting about Antonio Brown too.
True.
He scored touchdowns in each of his last 4 games.
Oh yeah. He's been on fire too. But I think this game is going to come down to probably like a last-minute field goal here. After thinking about this one long and hard, I'm going to break our unanimous streak here. I got to pick the road team here. I'm going with the Bucks. Give me the Bucks 31-28.
Special.
Upset special right there. He is going with Tom.
I got to break it up. I got to pick a road team out of this group.
Well, he has got Brady and the boys winning 31-28. Adam, which way you going here, bro?
Well, it is going to be a pretty close game. I know it's going to be going back and forth, and in the end, I'm going to have to go for the home team, and I'll pick the Saints to win in a close one.
And that is exactly who I'm going with. I thought real hard about this one. Everyone knows this could be Drew Brees' last stand. But I say he's going to survive for at least one more game. Tom Brady is still dominant, but he'll probably just come up a little bit short. I'm picking the Saints to win this one, but I've got the exact same score as Natalie, 31-28. 31-28, I've got the Saints. Natalie's got the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm the only one who went solo this week.
Yeah, we are going to be I think we're going to get a real big treat from this one. I guess out of all of these games, even though my number 2 team is Kansas City, I would definitely be watching Tampa Bay at New Orleans. I would definitely be watching that one. I'm sure all of y'all watching out there. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you people watching out there. If y'all are watching, y'all probably be watching that game too.
Yeah, all these are pretty exciting to watch.
Oh, yeah. So now that we've covered all the games, we have a little bit more of the head coaching shuffle here. I just heard, I think it was this morning or late last night, that the Eagles have fired head coach Doug Peterson. So,
Yeah, but this was a huge debate between Doug Peterson and Jeffrey Luria and Harry Roseman, that Jeffrey Luria wanted to keep Carson Wentz, but Doug Peterson wanted Jalen Hurts, and there is some philosophical differences. But Doug Peterson had to go. He'll always be remembered for delivering a championship to Philadelphia for the first time in 57 years. But this is not about the past. About the future, and the Eagles made the right move, and they made the only move. And as of right now, they are one of 5 teams with head coaching vacancies.
One of 5 teams that have the head coaching vacancies. So I got to ask you. I think everybody's been saying it for the last few weeks. Would you say Carson Wentz is gone?
If there's one team that I think makes a ton of sense for Carson Wentz to be traded to, that's the Indianapolis Colts. You know, Phil Rivers might be retiring at the end of the season, and Frank Reich was Carson Wentz's offensive coordinator when the year they won the Super Bowl, and he was the architect behind Philadelphia's dominant offense. But the Eagles have not been the same since, and part of that had to do with Doug Peterson foolishly not bringing in an offensive coordinator to call the plays. So, but it's more likely that now, without Doug Peterson, who had the hamstrung relations with Wentz, that that Wentz will stay. But you never know what Harry Roseman might have in mind when it comes to free agency.
Natalie, any thoughts?
I mean, I guess he was progressively getting worse for the team, so it pretty much had to be the right move. But I mean, whoever is the next coach is going to have big shoes to fill. He's going to have to do what it takes to make the team better. But there is one thing I did notice. One other topic that kind of surprised me in recent news: the Deshaun Watson thing. Like, he's fed up with Houston.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one
Okay,
story that stuck out to me earlier.
I heard Deshaun Watson would like to get traded out of Houston. So if he gets traded out of Houston, where would be the best place for him to go?
It's a team like the Miami Dolphins makes a lot of sense because Deshaun Watson would represent a massive upgrade over Tua at the quarterback position, and I think Tua could certainly use a head coach, a different head coach, and different approach to the offense. So maybe trading him for Tua and some draft picks would make a lot of sense. But remember, Nick Caserio is the new general manager down in Houston. I think that's a tough hire, but if I'm Houston Texans, you really shouldn't consider trading Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Deshaun Watson to Miami. Maybe he can mentor Tua.
Yeah. But one of the important notes I noted on my Hooked on Sports podcast is that if you're a team like not named the Chiefs, the Ravens, Bills, the Cardinals, or the Seahawks, you do not make a trade for Deshaun Watson. If that team's not on the list, you absolutely need to consider putting together a trade package for Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He put up some massive numbers, even with the clueless Billy O'Brien. But he led the league in passing this year, which I think if you're a quarterback in this age, that's a significant deal. So it's going to be one of the fascinating stories leading up to free agency of the saga surrounding Deshaun Watson.
Now I hear another story coming out of the NFL. I hear that Urban Meyer either is about to or has taken the head coaching job in Jacksonville.
He has.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
And that's not the only new head coaching hire that came out today. I'll get to that in just a little bit, but I think the way the Jaguars are set up right now is the same way the Cowboys were set up when Jimmy Johnson became the head coach in 1989. That he's going to get a once in a generation quarterback prospect in the draft. The Cowboys with Troy Aikman, the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence. He's going to have a lot that Urban Meyer, and assuming Tom Balky becomes the general manager, they're going to have a lot of money to spend. They have the most cap room of any team in the NFL, so they're going to take a whole different a whole lot of approaches. But if I'm the Jaguars, I think you need to beef up the offensive line, get a wide receiver, and then utilize some of your other draft resources to improve the defense. Remember, the Jaguars have 2 first-round picks this year. The number 1 overall pick, which they're going to use on Trevor Lawrence. They also have a first-round pick from the Jalen Ramsey trade, but we'll have to see how far the Rams go. But if the Rams lose the Packers, which we all predict will happen, the Jaguars will have the 25th overall pick. So the Jaguars will certainly go after defense this time, and they've used each of the last 4 first-round draft picks on defense. So I think it would be useful to pick the best available defensive player in the draft, because the Jaguars defense ranked 31st in points allowed. But this is a great day for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think a new era has begun. And I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the coming years.
Tell you what, it's looking like the state of Florida could be a real hotbed in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
With Tampa Bay already getting Tom Brady, and of course the change-ups in Jacksonville and Miami that could possibly come along. Hey, sounds interesting. Speaking of the South, I saw. Now I'll be interested to hear what Adam says about this, because of course we're talking about these boys now. One day after they fire their defensive coordinator, Mike Nolan, the Cowboys decide to hire former Atlanta Falcons head coach Dan Quinn. Glenn, what do you
Yeah.
got?
I thought you said you wanted Adams' take because both of you are rooting for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I want to hear your pick first, or your thoughts on this. Go ahead.
I mean, I suppose it's going to be fine, but again, the thing about Dan Quinn was he was the defensive coordinator for Seattle with the Legion of Boom in 2013 and 2014. But let's not forget that John Schneider nailed the 2010 and 2011 drafts that brought in Earl Thomas, brought in Richard Sherman, and among others that created that secondary. And Dan Quinn managed a bunch of studs. But this is going to be a different case, I believe, with the Cowboys because he's not the one picking the players. Obviously, it would be nice if Jerry Jones allowed some input to see what type of defensive players the Cowboys should get. But if the Cowboys don't have the talent, what good is it going to make? That was I think the biggest problem with Mike Nolan was that this year was the Cowboys did not have the talent, and I warned you guys before the season that the Cowboys were going to be weaker defensively because they couldn't afford to sign Robert Quinn, they couldn't afford to retain their strength was going to be their linebackers, and they needed to draft in the secondary in the draft, and that was something that Cowboys fans should have been aware of. Did I think the Cowboys defense was going to be this bad? Well, with the names on that defense with Sean Lee, Jalen Smith, and DeMarcus Lawrence, I didn't think so at all. But I suppose he might make the Cowboys better, but we'll see what happens.
All right, Natalia, you got any thoughts about Dan Quinn becoming the new DC in Big D?
Yeah, I think he might do all right. Although he was kind of bad in Atlanta, it's not entirely his fault because Atlanta kind of had a bad team to begin with. They didn't really They never really had any big names that make you scream powerful team, but the Cowboys have bigger names that can make them a little bit better. It's going to depend on how well he and hopefully he's healthy enough for next season, Dak Prescott. So hopefully they could work out a plan together. It's good. If they have a good connection, then he might very well be a good fit. So we have to see what happens with that.
All right, Adam, my buddy, what do you think about Dan Quinn?
Well, I think he probably might do a better job than Mike Nolan. Like he said, he did a pretty good job as a defensive coordinator when he used to coach Seattle in 13-14. And I think along with him, I think they signed up a new secondary pass defensive coach, and I believe it was Joe Witt Jr., who used to be with the Falcons, so they got a reunion going on. So hopefully they can make much needed improvement for the defense as of late.
Yeah. Yep, that Cowboys defense was pretty much down at the bottom here in the league for this year. We'll just have to see what happens here. I didn't particularly like the choice of Dan Quinn because it's almost like the Falcons never did really recover from their Super Bowl debacle, and just haven't been able to recover. So hopefully Quinn will be a good coordinator, better than Nolan. And like I keep saying, it's been like 10 years in a row I've been saying this. Cowboys really need to draft some corners and some safeties, some guys who are not totally injury prone. That has been like the Achilles heel for the Cowboys for so many years now, but we'll just have to see what happens. Was there any other?
And this is actually a big one. So the Jets are hiring San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh to be the next head coach of the New York Jets. It's a 5-year contract, and I think that this is my first reaction to this because I do my podcast Monday and Wednesday, so this is my first reaction. Slam dunk, phenomenal hire by the Jets. That completely different from Adam Saleh, the Adam Gase. That the Jets needed a huge infusion of energy following the disasters that were John Idzik, Todd Bowles, Mike McCagnon, Adam Gase, all those bad hires. But now they have a good general manager in Joe Douglas. They have a great coach in Robert Saleh. That this team is going to be completely different in the next couple of seasons than what you're used to. That and also he hired a passing game coordinator Mike LaFleur, who is Matt LaFleur's brother. He's going to be the offensive coordinator according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. And the Jets culture just completely changed in the last 60 minutes. So I think the Jets have a fantastic hire. Now they have the combination of general manager and head coach, and now they can decide about what they want to do with the quarterback. That we already mentioned Carson Wentz. I think Sam Darnold is going to be a pretty popular name in trade conversations because the Jets have the second overall pick, so the Jets could certainly use a new franchise quarterback because you want a coach and quarterback coming in together. So you could look at guys like Justin Fields, who would have been the Heisman contender had the Big Ten play a full season. And Zach Wilson, the BYU quarterback, who was a Heisman contender, is up there, and he apparently liked like Kyle Shanahan's offense in San Francisco. But you could look at the first half of the NFL draft. You could, except for Cincinnati, the Chargers, and maybe the Giants, because I don't think the Giants are going to draft a quarterback because then Dave Gettleman would admit that Daniel Jones wasn't the answer. So you take any of those teams, the Cowboys, the Eagles, could use a quarterback. If the Cowboys, of course, if Dak Prescott isn't signing long term. The Falcons, I think they're going to pick a franchise quarterback. So I think this is a good year, not a horrible situation. Obviously, the Jets would have liked to have Trevor Lawrence with as their franchise quarterback, but I think things are only going to look up for the New York Jets.
Yeah. Hopefully, a big change will do them good. Hopefully, it will no longer be just in the season; it'll be just energize the season. Hopefully, they'll get some new.
With a real, do you know what this is? Do you know what Robert Saleh is in comparison to Todd Bowles and Adam Gase? A real head coach. The Jets have not had a real head coach in decades. This is a fantastic day for the Jets.
Sounds like a definite upgrade in New York right there. Of course, Natalie, you, of course, once lived in New York, so I'm sure you'll agree that this is pretty huge. Can Natalie hear us?
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm sure he heard his name on. From the shot I see right now, from the look on his face, he looks very tired. There he is again. There he is.
And it's a little slow on his end.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm here.
Also, yeah. By the way, another thing about Robert Saleh, first Muslim American NFL head coach in history.
Wow, interesting.
So you want progress? That's progress.
There you go. There you go. Natalia, I was going to ask you about your opinion on the new head coach for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, prior to hearing the news, I never heard of him, so it's hard for me to evaluate his work. But the Jets were long overdue for a coaching change. But I mean, I certainly think they're gonna do better next season as opposed to this season. I mean, they still have a lot of work to do, but getting a new coach is the first step in the right direction.
All right, all right. Well, I think we had a good show this week, and we have got a great slate of games coming up this weekend. Of course, like I said, I will definitely be keeping my eye on that Buccaneers Saints game. That's the Sunday night. That's the Sunday nighter. I'm going to keep eyes on that. And I guess if nobody has anything else to say, I guess we can just close up shop for the week. Thank y'all for joining us once again. Hope y'all enjoy the divisional round playoffs. Y'all be sure to look up John Flynn's Hooked on Sports. Listen to his great podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and pretty much anywhere you find podcasts. And I guess we'll just go ahead and sign off for now. For John Flynn, our Commissioner John Vitale, and our good friend Adam Oliver, my name is Tim McClellan. Enjoy the continuing drama of the NFL playoffs for 2020. Take care, everybody. And as always, be a good sport.